Hello everyone. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, then subscribe to this channel. The puzzling virtuoso of oddity Salvador Dalí, one of the most unmistakable and persuasive specialists of the 20th century, made a permanent imprint on the universe of workmanship with his unconventional character and imaginative way to deal with oddity. Brought into the world in Figueres, Spain in 1904, Dali's life was just about as offbeat and creative as his specialty. His works, portrayed by fanciful scenes and unusual symbolism, tested ordinary points of view and pushed the limits of creative articulation. This article investigates the life, vocation, and tradition of Salvador Dalí, revealing insight into his creative accomplishments, individual peculiarities, and persevering through effect on present-day workmanship. Early life. Salvador Domingo Felipe Jacinto Dalí was brought into the world on May 11, 1904, in Figueres, a modest community in Catalonia, Spain. His dad, Salvador Dalí First Cusi, was a legal official, and his mom, Felipa Domenech Ferres, was a homemaker. Dalí was the second kid in the family. His more established sibling, additionally named Salvador, had kicked the bucket 9 months before Dalí's introduction to the world. This early misfortune significantly impacted Dalí and added to the feeling of duality and supernatural quality that would penetrate his work. Since early on, Dalí displayed an exceptional ability for drawing and painting. Supported by his mom, who perceived his imaginative potential, Dalí started learning at the illustrious Foundation of Expressive Arts of San Fernando in Madrid at 17 years old. His time at the institute was set apart by both insubordination and advancement. Dalí's whimsical way to deal with craftsmanship and his contempt for conventional strategies frequently put him in conflict with his teachers. Be that as it may, this insubordinate soul would later turn into a characterizing element of his creative profession. Ascend to unmistakable, Dalí's initial works were affected by different imaginative developments, including Impressionism, Cubism, and Fauvism. Notwithstanding, it was his experience with oddity, a development established by André Breton, that would characterize his profession and lay out him as a main figure in the workmanship world. Oddity, described by its investigation of the oblivious psyche and the juxtaposition of fanciful and silly symbolism, gave Dalí a stage to communicate his special vision. In 1929, Dalí joined the Surrealist bunch, which included remarkable specialists like René Magritte, Max Ernst, and Joan Miro. His association with the development prompted the formation of a portion of his most well-known works, including The Constancy of Memory, 1931. This famous work of art, highlighting softening clocks hung over a forlorn scene, represents Dalí's interest with time, memory, and the liquid idea of the real world. Dalí's work during this period was described by fastidious meticulousness and an emphasis on making striking, fanciful symbolism. His utilization of dreamlike and frequently upsetting components, joined with his specialized expertise, put him aside from different craftsmen and earned huge consideration and praise. Creative advancements and individual style. Salvador Dalí was known for his creative accomplishments as well as for his ostentatious character and particular appearance. His brand name mustache, motivated by the 17th century Spanish painter Diego Velázquez, and his unusual conduct made him an unmistakable and confounding figure in both the craftsmanship world and mainstream society. Dalí's own style reached out past his actual appearance and into his imaginative practices. He fostered a novel strategy known as paranoiac basic method, which included initiating a condition of neurosis and self-fancy to get to the psyche mind. This method permitted Dalí to make mind-boggling and strange pictures that tested traditional view of the real world. Notwithstanding his work as a painter, Dalí investigated different mediums, including model, film, and photography. His joint effort with producer Luis Buñuel brought about the surrealist film Un Chien Andalou, 1929, which is famous for its fanciful and stunning symbolism. Dalí's introduction to these different works of art showed his flexibility and readiness to push the limits of imaginative articulation. Later years and heritage. Salvador Dalí's profession kept on advancing all through the 1930s and 1940s. His work turned out to be progressively business and embraced a more traditional style in a portion of his later pieces. Regardless of this shift, Dali stayed a focal figure in the workmanship world, and his impact kept on being felt across different imaginative disciplines. During the Second Great War, Dali and his significant other, Celebration, moved to the US, where he earned further respect and extended his impact. He was welcomed to talk on TV and teamed up with remarkable figures in the craftsmanship world, including Walt Disney. His work during this period incorporated a progression of representations for Lewis Carroll's Alice's Undertakings in Wonderland and a surrealist-themed artful dance. During the 1950s and 1960s, Dali got back to Spain and kept on delivering work that mirrored his interest with science, religion, and old-style subjects. His later works, including The Holy Observance of the Last Dinner, 1955, showed a mix of surrealist components with customary strict and verifiable themes. Dali's effect on the craftsmanship world and mainstream society stayed huge until his demise on January 23, 1989. His commitments to oddity, his imaginative procedures, and his awesome persona have passed on an enduring heritage that proceeds to rouse and dazzle crowds all over the planet. Salvador Dali's life and work exemplify the soul of oddity and the investigation of the oblivious brain. His imaginative developments, particular style, and whimsical character made him a critical figure in 20th century craftsmanship. Dali's capacity to blend specialized expertise with innovative and strange symbolism put him aside as a really remarkable craftsman. Dali's impact reaches out past the domain of painting and keeps on forming contemporary workmanship, design, and mainstream society. His heritage as a visionary and provocateur guarantees that his commitments to workmanship will be recollected and celebrated for a long time into the future. Salvador Dalí stays a persevering through image of inventiveness, creative mind, and the limitless potential outcomes of imaginative articulation. Thank you for watching.